Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai. So let's do our Shanti mantra. And again, this week, I'll chant the first line and then you repeat it after me. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnu Deva. Together. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnu Deva. Bhadram Pashe Makshabhirya Jatra. Bhadram Pashe Makshabhirya Jatra. Stirai Rangai Stushtvagum Sastanubihi. Stirai Rangai Stushtvagum Sastanubihi. Vyashema Devahitam Yadayahu. Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu. Swasti na Indro Vridhashravaha. Swasti na Indro Vridhashravaha. Swasti na Starksho. No, I missed one. What's the next one?
Swasti na Pusha.
Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha. Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha. Swasti na Starksho Arishtanemihi. Swasti na Starksho Arishtanemihi. Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu. Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So, let's see. Amini, you were not here last week. Ashley, were you here last week?
I was not, but I watched the video on YouTube.
Okay, well, we'll do a little quick review. So, the Upanishad starts out with the notion, Om, the word, Omkara, is all this, meaning the phenomenal universe. Om is also that which is beyond all this, meaning the consciousness in which the phenomenal world appears. So we tend to use the technical terms Sa Guna Brahman, Brahman with qualities, and Nirguna Brahman, Brahman without qualities. Consciousness, which is always experienced as the eternal subject, and the phenomenal world which arises in it. Then the Upanishad says Om is divided into Chatushpada, 4 feet, literally, 4 quarters. And this does not mean that Om has 4 legs like a cow has 4 legs. It means we will discuss this in the sequence of four ideas. The first, A, stands for the waking state, which the Upanishad calls Vaishwanara. Vishwa Nara. Nara means a person, the knower of the waking state. Vishwa, the phenomenal world. Second quarter. He calls this the knower of the dream state. Taijasa. Third quarter. Ma. He calls Prajna, the knower of the dream state. And the fourth quarter, we haven't really gotten into it yet. Sai. Now, we didn't get into this last week, but there's a practice that's implied in this. Whenever you chant a mantra, always include that fourth quarter. So even if you're doing one like Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Let it be bathed, surrounded with silence. And Auma can also mean all your various thoughts, mind states, etc. And the Turiya, the fourth quarter, is when the mind stops. When the consciousness in which waking dream and deep sleep states arise, all our mind states, is known. It disappears, it still remains. All right, that's basically what we covered last week in the first 6 mantras. So now we start the Karikas, Gaudapada's gloss. Can you give us a page?
I don't know if I have the same text.
32, I think.
Do you have, you can grab one off the table.
No, I have the same. I have an older edition.
If I remember in the older editions, it's very difficult to tell when it's a Karika and when it's a mantra.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's page 32.
So that's the. Okay, I found
Take one of the newer ones if it's easier.
it. Is it the Bahish Pragnya?
Yeah.
Should I start?
Yes.
Bahish Pragnyo Vibhur Vishvo Yanta Pragnastu Taijasaha Dhana Pragnastatha Pragnya Eka Eva Tridhasmritaha. Vishwa, the first quarter, Pada, is he who is all-pervading and who experiences the eternal, the gross objects, the waker. Taijasa, the second quarter, Pada, is he who cognizes the internal, the subtle bodies, the dreamer. Prajna is he who is a mass of consciousness. He is one alone who is thus known as three in the three different planes of consciousness.
So the idea that he's getting at is my chitta, my stuff of my mind, forms these three states. The first, Vishwa, Vaishwanara, is the waker ego. I, Jim, know the waking state. And the world I know is different than the world you know. So, for example, do you know where you parked your car? I do not know where you parked your car. The one who knows where you parked your car is Vaishwanara. Did I have breakfast this morning?
I don't know.
You don't know. No, I did not. But the one who knows whether I had or did not have breakfast, that's my Vaishwanara, the ego of the waking state. Taijasa, the dreamer. Did either of you have a dream last night? Anybody in Zoom have a dream last night?
I think I did, but I don't remember that.
Hypothetical then. I dreamt I was out sailing. So there I am out on the San Francisco Bay on a beautiful sailboat, enjoying the wind in my hair. And I woke up and I'm in my bed. No dolphins next to me. The sheets are not soaking wet. So in the dream state, there was another different ego who had a dream body. Dream ego identified with it. Dream world perceived on the outside. And I was so happy. Dream feelings inside. Completely distinct from the waker. Then the third quarter is the deep sleeper. One of the ideas we covered last week, that it is the controller, the ruler. Meaning in deep sleep is my bundle of vasanas, which in their pure state cannot be, their qualities cannot be apprehended. They are directly experienced as a mass of ignorance. Now, many of us wrestle with this idea that somehow consciousness illumines the deep sleep state. No, Jim, I'm unconscious in deep sleep. And I can prove to you that you're not. What you are is seeing the mind folded up into darkness. It is like when you close your eyes. When you close your eyes, you're not blind. You are seeing the back of your eyelids. Or another example, here you are in my living room. Let's say it was dark at night and I had drapes that could shut out all the light. You could not see anything in the room. But if I lit a match, you'd see it right away. So if you were unconscious in deep sleep and you woke up in the middle of the night because you had to go pee, wouldn't you know it? So consciousness illumines the absence of thought and perception and the presence of it. For example, can you see the phone in my hand? Yes. You are illuminating what is. Can you see there's no phone in my hand? You are illuminating what is not there. The other way we prove that awareness is there illuminating the darkness of deep sleep is through the law of memory. You cannot remember something you haven't directly experienced. What did I have for dinner last night?
I don't know,
Why not?
because I was not there.
You were not there. I had vegetarian lasagna. You know how I know that? I was there to experience it. Did you sleep well last night?
Yes,
Did I sleep well last night?
I don't know.
You don't know because you weren't there. The fact that you can remember that you slept well indicates someone, something was there to know it. Mind you, you have no thought. You can't go, oh, I'm so sound asleep. This is really wonderful. You can only do it through memory. Kind of a graphic image. Here is the self, always present. This hand is like the mind in the waking state, in the dream state, folded up in deep sleep. Now watch carefully. Samadhi. Oh my gosh, there's nobody there. That's what happens when the thoughting stops. When the ignorance is no longer operative. Only the prakash, the light of pure awareness remains. Not a light that you see, but the lighted one who does all the seeing. Now, you ever watch the play of these three states, waking, dream, and deep sleep? And each one has its own ego sense. Vaishwanara, the knower of the waking world, is distinct from Taijasa, knower of the dream world, both of which are distinct from the knower of deep sleep. Next, Karika.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this always in reference of just the mind? Like, what about your heart is beating, you're breathing, you're not really. Isn't that also proof that like consciousness is operating, but you're
Good
unaware?
point. Good point. The prana continues to act. But is consciousness gone when there's a corpse?
I don't know.
Yeah, actually, it's never gone. Or let's use a more identifiable thing. So pull on your hair. You are currently attached to your hair. Can you feel that sensation?
Yes.
When you go to the beauty salon and have your hair cut and the hair is on the floor, have you disappeared?
No.
Are you on the floor going, oh, I'm cut off, I'm cut off?
No.
So also, when the body falls away, you go nowhere. True story. Many, many years ago, when I lived on Turk Street in San Francisco, I had this marvelous student named Stanley. And Stanley and his partner Nick lived about 3 blocks from me. And Stanley had AIDS. And I had told Nick, his partner, that I want to be there when Stanley transitions, when he passes. So in those days, we used to have Gita class on Wednesday nights. And we were there doing Gita class, and there were probably 10 of us, I think, in the class at that time. And Nick calls and says, Stanley's going. If you want to be here, come now. So we stopped Gita class. And the whole Gita class went over to Nick and Stanley's. And we were all sitting around Stanley's bed. And when you're tuned up, your mind is able to perceive things on other dimensions. Above Stanley's body, you could see the shimmering of the sun body. Just held that sacred space. And then finally, when the last little pranic cord, the silver cord, was severed. We've talked about when we study the Panchavayu, Udana, governs thinking. Well, it also governs what I call the ejection button. All of a sudden, just the energy. It's amazing. I looked across, and there's Howard. I think Mark Herman remembers Howard. His eyes were as big as saucers, and this huge grin on his face. Wow. Stanley was gone. The body was there. Someone said, oh, we better go tell his parents. His parents were in the kitchen, and he's gone. So we did, and they came in, and they went boo, 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 over his body. I didn't say this out loud, but this was my thought. Well, when you're finished there, why don't you go cry over his shoes in the closet? Because he's not there either. Gone. But he is not the body. True story. All right, next Karika.
Dakshina Shikmukhe Vishwo Manasyantastu Taijasaha Akashe Cha Hridi Pragnya Stridha Dehe Vyavasthitaha. Vishwa works from the right eye, Taijasa from the mind, and Pragnya from the heart space. Thus, the one self is conceived as working from three headquarters as three distinct entities.
So this is metaphor. So we contact the waking state reality through the senses. What do we mean by that? Who had something good, really nice happen to them this week? You?
Yeah.
What happened?
We got news about our green card processing progressing.
Okay, how did you get that news?
Through the internet.
But how did you
I
get
perceived it through my eyes, I guess.
Through your eyes.
I read it.
Read it. So all of our contact with the waking state world comes through the senses. If something negative happened, same thing. You see, hear, taste, touch, or smell that particular experience. Now, of the senses, the eyes for most people are the most important. You may have dull hearing, you may have neuropathy and your toes get numb. You may have COVID and you can't smell or taste. Oh, if you lose your sight, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And of the two eyes, we tend to have a dominant one For most people, the dominant eye is the right eye. So this is a metaphor that it is through the senses themselves that Vaishwanara knows the waking state reality. Now the dreamer creates all the elements of the dream world with the mind itself. I like to use the example of a prism. So if you are outside and you have a prism, and underneath it a white piece of paper, the sun shines down on the prism and it refracts the light into the rainbow, into the spectrum. So also in the dream state, my mind refracts into what we call the triputi, the triple factor. Knower, knowing, and known, as Swamiji used to say. He really talked like that on occasion. So in the dream state, my one unified mind becomes the individual knower. It becomes the phenomenal objects and the interior reactions and thoughts about them. So the ruler of the dream state is the mind itself. The deep sleeper, we say, is in the heart. Now, we don't mean geographically located in your heart. Why do the scriptures talk about it? We're not sure why people do this, but with few exceptions, when someone gestures and indicates their self, yes, it's me. Nobody goes, it's me. My friend Sage is the only one. He goes, it's me. He points to his shoulder. But most of us, oh, it's me. We gesture to the heart, the hridaya. Now, it isn't really geographically located. This prajna is nowhere located, actually, geographically, anatomically. But we say the heart. Another way of talking about what the heart is, it's when the intellect and the mind are all merged into the spiritual heart. And then what the Karika is saying is, I am the knower of the three states, waking, dream, and deep sleep. And I am Chit, pure consciousness. The mind is Chitta, the stuff of mind, which forms into these three states. And I am ever the witness of the knower. It is that chitta, that stuff of mind, that forms itself into these three states. Any thoughts on this? Next, Karika.
There's two shlokas together. I'm going to read both.
Do you have the two together as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Vishvo hi sthulabhung nityam taijasa praviviktu vikbhukam ananda bhuktatha pragnya stridha bhogam nibodhata sthulam tarpayate vishvam praviviktam tu taijasam anandascha tatha pragnyam stridha triptim nibodhata. Know these to be the threefold experiences. Vaishvanara always experiences the gross sense objects. Taijasa enjoys the subtle world of objects, and Pragnya the blissful.
Yes.
Know these to be the threefold satisfaction. Vaishvanara is satisfied by the gross objects. Taijasa finds his satisfaction in the subtle, and Pragnya revels in the blissful.
Yes.
He read the same thing twice.
Say what?
He read the same translation twice.
Oh, that's what it says in my book.
Oh.
Do you have more?
It just says the fourth one is the gross objects satisfy the Vishwa, whereas the subtle objects satisfy the Taijasa, while the bliss satisfies the Pragnya. Thus, the bliss is threefold.
Okay. So, what we want to do is understand what is Ananda, bliss. When we have the scriptural indication of the self, probably the most famous is Satchidananda. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat, pure existence, that which is. Chit, it is sentience, consciousness, awareness itself. Ananda, bliss, absolute. Now, we are experiencing the self all the time. No one ever doubts their existence unless you're a Shunyavadan Buddhist. I don't exist. Okay? Who is it who thinks he doesn't exist? Well, me. We are always knowing, even if our knowing is misery. What's your life like? Oh, it's terrible. Do you know your misery? Oh, let me tell you all about it, chapter and verse. No, that's fine. But Ananda, if the self is an unchanging reality, I'm not happy all the time. So, what we have to understand is what I think Ananda is can't be what it is because it's a changeless reality. You are experiencing Ananda all the time, and everybody is. So what does it mean? The way I like to start our understanding of Ananda is no sorrow reaches there. Physical pain and suffering gets to my body. Emotional suffering and pleasure get to my mind. Doubt and confusion and uncertainty get to my intellect. But I am like a still point, center of the cyclone. Nothing touches me. No sorrow reaches there. And why don't we call it Sat Chit Adukkha? We don't say that. No suffering. We say Ananda. Because what's implied there is what happens to the human mind. The human mind can suffer, and the human mind can be happy. What is my suffering? As the result of spiritual ignorance, I crave, I desire, I thirst. Kama, spriha, thirsting. No, spriha is longing. Trishna, thirsting. Vansha, wanting. That's what hurts. When that goes away, the mind comes home. Like the wave, when the storm is past, comes home to the ocean. Wave doesn't go to Mexico on vacation. It subsides. So, when the mind is freed from its agitation, its vikalpa, when it's freed from its longing, kama, when it's freed from its deliberations, vimarsha, when it's freed from its projecting, vikshepa, when it comes home, the mind becomes blissful. So the self is the fountainhead, the source of all happiness. The great classic scriptural metaphor, the sun is always in the sky. The sun is round, the sun is warm, the sun is bright. But I am here on the earth, and so is weather. And when the clouds come in, do they cover the sun? Nope. Sun's shining away just like it always does. But I do not experience the roundness of the sun or that much of its heat. But I can see the clouds. So the light is still there. So also, existence is never occluded by the mind. Sentience is never occluded by the mind. But when the mind is in a state of ignorance, the ananda of the self is occluded. Now, here, Gaudapada goes into an in-depth understanding of ananda. Listen very carefully. In the earlier dimensions of our sadhana, we are told to give up our attachment to worldly pleasures. They only bind us more deeply. Turn our minds inward to revel in the self, to experience the bliss of our true nature. That's a partial truth. The truth is, there's no such thing as worldly pleasure. It does not exist. The objects of the world are completely neutral. They are shunyata, void of inequality. But what does my mind, this ego sense, do with all this? In the waking state, as the result of the force of the past and my predisposition, I project onto the people, places, things, and conditions my own nature. I superimpose it. I think Anand is over there. First, it is I that determine that that person, place, thing, or condition is pleasurable. Republicans think Donald Trump is wonderful. The Democrats think, oh, terrible. The truth is shunyata, void, without qualities. Just another one of the Lord's forms. But I determine that it's pleasurable. The technical term is priya, which means dear. It's dear to me. Then what do? I endeavor to get proximate, close to acquire my object of desire. The technical term is moda. I buy it, I work for it, I make it, I marry it, do whatever. I start getting anticipation. Then when desire and object of desire become one, when I get what I want, technical term is pramoda. The point of pleasure. I think the object has done it. Oh, that's such great pizza. Oh, man, are they a good lover? Oh, I'm so happy I got a raise. Oh, my candidate won. All I've done is momentarily stop the craving. Now, most of us run around in the waking state in a low-level condition of discontent, of restlessness, of agitation. I just need some release, Jim. When I get the release, the mind stops its projecting. For a moment, a very short moment usually. The pain of craving goes away. So I get ananda rasa, the juice or the taste of my own self. I just don't know it. Only God is good. So let's say you're a foodie and you have a food magazine You open it up and you see this wonderful cake sliced open, layers of whipped creamy stuff, and maybe strawberries on top. Oh, that looks so delicious. Is there any cake there? What's there? Ink on a page. I've decided that's really desirable. Such is the waking state. So Vaishwanara is satisfied by the bliss of the waking state reality, getting what I want. And of course, the opposite is also true. Vaishwanara is all upset when I don't get what I want, or the situation is non-conducive. So you were telling me you got good news about your immigration status? Yes?
Yeah.
What if they'd sent you a letter? You think you're useless people, go back. How would you feel?
Sad.
Sad. I didn't get what I wanted. All of that is nothing more the expectations of the waker mind with what I think is going to make me happy or unhappy. So this is how the waker ego experiences the ananda rasa in the waking state. It's essentially no different in the dream state. You could have a pleasant dream, meaning the situations in the dream state make the dreamer happy. Or you can have a nightmare, and the dreamer is unhappy. It's very clear from the viewpoint of the waker. Both the pleasant dream and the nightmare are just my mind. Now, what is the deep sleeper? There, the mind is folded up in its seed form. There's no projection going on. This is what we call in other scriptures the Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss sheath. It is pure ignorance. A lot to understand about it, because in that state of deep sleep, through memory after I wake up, oh, I feel so rested. I was no worries. And especially if my waking state reality is problematic. People, for example, who have depression, they love sleep because it's an avoidance of, it's a way to get away from the misery of the waking state. But no object is causing the happiness of deep sleep. What is the happiness of deep sleep? What Vidyaranya calls the Vasanananda. It is the absence of the craving mind. Huge implications here. You must have a craving mind in order to be miserable. You do not need a craving mind in order to be happy. The foolish person deals with the discomfort, the restlessness, the agitation of the craving mind by trying to play whack-a-mole with the world. More, better, different. I'll be happy when, it'll be better if, gimme, 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 gimme. I'm a moron. I want more of more. And it's at best temporary. Never solves the problem. The yogi, understanding that the problem is I'm addicted to more. I'm caught in the tyranny of vancha. Wanting. Endeavors through deep insight to give up attachment and identification. This allows the mind to rest in the self, independent of the state of the world. This is what Jesus meant when he said, my kingdom is not of this world. So Vaishwanana experiences bliss through the Vishwa, the objects of the waking state. Taijasa experiences happiness through the various forms that the mind projects in the dream state. Prajna, very happy in the nescience of deep sleep, a homogeneous mass of bliss. Prajnana Ganam. Get that term later on. Any thoughts on this? Now, as usual, there's a practice that's implied. We take on Sakshi Bhava, the attitude of the witness. Watch our minds, make friends with our suffering. Ignorance will tell us I'm suffering because I'm not getting what I want. Yoga tells us I'm suffering because I'm stuck and tyrannized by my wanting. Mudha, fool. There I am wanting again. This will give us the yoga bala, the strength of yoga, to begin to practice mature vairagya. What is vairagya? That desire, meaning we don't achieve it overnight, to give up attachment to all experiences gained through the senses and identification with any form of self. I'm good, I'm bad, I'm better than other people, I'm a terrible piece of poop. You give it up, let it go. And the fruit of that is the mind comes on. And I think the clearest worldly example that I've been using lately is when you're caught in traffic. Were you afraid you guys were going to be late this morning?
Yeah, there was some talk about it.
Yeah. If you're like most of us, there you are gripping the steering wheel, pushing the traffic with your heart. Can you make the light change? Did you go through any of that?
Thankfully, no.
Good. You've learned the lesson. But some of us do. And then if we're a yogi, we let it go. I'll get there when I get there. Maybe I'll text Jim. We're going to be 5 minutes late. You don't get there any faster. You just let go of the struggling. Doesn't mean we don't work hard. Doesn't mean we don't have goals. Doesn't mean we don't strive for excellence. But let go of the result. You can work without struggle. They are not the same thing. So the point of this Karika, there's no such thing as worldly pleasure. It does not exist. The only source of happiness is myself, the self. What is unhappiness? The mind extroverted into kama, craving, spriha, longing. What is happiness? The mind freed from that, abiding in the self. The waves are going up and down in the storm. We don't get rid of the waves by going out on a boat and taking the bucket, trying to capture all the waves. No. When the storm subsides, the waves are nothing but the ocean. And again, Vinyaranya has this marvelous term, Brahmananda Rasa Swad, tasting swad, the juice rasa of the bliss of the self. Any thoughts on this before we go on? So our assignment, watch your mind, make friends with your suffering, own it. The cause is not out there. The cause is my own stupid mind. And own your ananda. You mean when I have a good meal, when I make love, when I get a bunch of money, when I get what I want. It does the same thing to my mind. Yes. It will vary in duration and it'll vary in intensity, depending on how badly I wanted it and how successfully it stopped my mind. But I get confused because of the diversity of sensory experience. But it always tastes the same. Own your suffering, own your heart. This is so important. Without a thorough understanding and some experience of this, we're very unlikely to ever get any peace. We won't get any peace as long as we think my happiness is dependent on the worldly situations. All right, next Karika.
Trishu dhamasu yat bhojyam bhokta yascha prakirtitah vedaita dubhayam yastu sabhunjna jano na lipyate. One who knows both the experiencer and the experienced, just as they have been described so far as associating with the three states of consciousness, he is not at all affected even when he is experiencing the respective objects of the three states.
Yes. So here he says the benefits of this understanding gives us a peace that's independent of the world. Now, you don't want to be afraid of enjoyment. You just want to see it for what it is. We need to learn to enjoy without attachment. And the example I like to use is a sunset. Oh, such a beautiful sunset last night, Jim. Oh, did you possess it and take it home and put it in your living room? Nobody can possess a sunset. Did you get in a car and keep driving so you could continue to see the sunset? No, nobody can drive that fast. You can appreciate the beauty of a sunset without the desire to possess or maintain it. When Chinmaya was wrestling with this idea, his teacher, Swami Tapovanam, said, look at the mountain up there. They were high in the Himalayas. The Uttakashi, you look up and you see these peaks that are 25,000 feet, 30,000 feet. They're just incredible. He says, isn't the mountain beautiful? No one can possess a mountain. So even the enjoyment is not problematic. The fool has an experience. Oh, that was so great. Let's do it again. The yogi has a pleasant experience. Oh, that really stopped my mind. Krishna. Everywhere is Krishna alone. So when you get what you want, you enjoy it, but let it go. Understanding, why do I want it? It's purely mechanical, the force of the past, qualities of the mind. There's nothing inherently good in the world. And when it isn't what the mind wants, no. So then we develop a serenity, a peace that's independent of the movement of the mind through its three states, and independent of the objects, the people, places, things, and situations. This samadrishta, this equality of vision, this sthita prajna, as Gita calls it, this steady knowledge, deep inside. Any thoughts on this? Okay, I think this is a good place to stop. Which Karika are we on for next week?
6.
Number 6 Karika. We did 5 Karikas? Oh, yes, okay. Yeah. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.